In a controversial and unprecedented statement, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump escalated his comments about potentially incorporating Canada into the United States during a press conference held at his Mar-a-Lago resort on Tuesday. This assertion, which many political analysts have described as provocative and unconventional, reflects the president-elect's ongoing focus on redefining traditional international relationships. Trump also reiterated his intention to impose substantial tariffs on goods imported from Canada and Mexico, a position that has fueled debates about the future of North American trade agreements and diplomatic ties. The remarks, delivered with characteristic bravado, have sparked widespread attention and debate across both nations. When asked whether he would consider using military force to annex Canada, Trump dismissed the suggestion, replying, "No economic force. Because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line and take a look at what that looks like. It would also be much better for national security. Forget, we basically protect Canada." This statement, while ostensibly offhand, carries significant implications for U.S. Canada relations and raises questions about the future of sovereignty, trade, and security in the region. Trump's proposal. A break from diplomatic norms ***. Trump's suggestion that Canada could become part of the United States represents a dramatic departure from conventional U.S. foreign policy, which has historically emphasized respect for national sovereignty and cooperative bilateral relations. The notion of removing the artificially drawn line between the two countries challenges the deeply ingrained principles of international law and diplomacy. While the comment may have been made in Trump's characteristic off-the-cuff style, it has not been taken lightly by political observers or Canadian officials. Canada and the United States have long maintained one of the closest and most peaceful relationships between neighboring countries. Shared values, a deeply interconnected economy, and a history of cooperation on issues ranging from trade to national security have defined the dynamic between the two nations. However, Trump's remarks have introduced an element of unpredictability into this relationship, raising concerns about the potential for increased tension and conflict. #economic annexation through tariffs. Trump's reference to using economic force rather than military intervention highlights his prioritization of economic dominance as a strategic tool. By reiterating his intention to impose substantial tariffs on Canadian goods, Trump appears to be signaling a desire to pressure Canada into compliance with U.S. economic interests. This approach aligns with his broader America First agenda, which emphasizes the protection of U.S. industries and jobs through aggressive trade policies. The proposed tariffs, if implemented, would mark a significant shift in the economic relationship between the two countries. Canada and the United States are each other's largest trading partners, with billions of dollars in goods and services crossing their shared border daily. Disrupting this trade flow through tariffs could have wide-ranging consequences for both economies, potentially leading to higher prices for consumers, reduced competitiveness for businesses, and strained diplomatic relations. Critics of Trump's approach argue that such tariffs would violate the spirit of the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, the trade pact that replaced NAFTA in 2020. The USMCA was designed to promote free trade and economic integration across North America, and imposing unilateral tariffs would undermine these principles. Furthermore, Canadian officials have made it clear that they would challenge any such measures through legal and diplomatic channels. #national security and the protection of Canada. Trump's assertion that the United States basically protects Canada adds another layer of complexity to his comments. While it is true that the two countries share close military and intelligence ties, including through organizations such as NATO and NORAD, suggesting that Canada relies on U.S. protection oversimplifies the relationship. Canada has its own robust defense capabilities and has been an active participant in global security initiatives, often working alongside the United States to address shared threats. The idea that incorporating Canada into the United States would enhance national security is also controversial. Critics argue that such a move would likely create significant backlash from Canadians, who value their independence and distinct national identity. Far from improving security, an attempt to annex Canada, whether through economic or military means, could lead to widespread instability and resistance. #historical context. Annexation and sovereignty. The notion of annexing Canada is not entirely new, though it has been largely relegated to the realm of historical hypotheticals and fringe political discourse. During the 19th century, there were instances of U.S. expansionist ambitions targeting Canada, particularly during periods of heightened tension between the United States and the British Empire, of which Canada was then a part. However, these efforts never materialized, and Canada ultimately emerged as a fully independent nation with a strong sense of national identity. In the modern era, the idea of annexation has been almost universally dismissed as unrealistic and undesirable. Canadians take pride in their country's unique culture, political system, and international reputation, which differ significantly from those of the United States. Any suggestion of integration into the U.S. is likely to be met with strong opposition from both the Canadian government and the public. #### reactions from Canada and the international community. Unsurprisingly, Trump's comments have drawn sharp reactions from Canadian leaders and citizens. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, known for his diplomatic approach, responded cautiously but firmly, reaffirming Canada's commitment to its sovereignty and independence. In a statement issued shortly after the press conference, Trudeau emphasized the importance of maintaining a strong and equal partnership with the United States, while rejecting any notion of integration. Canadian citizens have also voiced their disapproval, with many taking to social media to express their pride in being Canadian and their opposition to Trump's remarks. The ###WeAreCanada began trending on Twitter shortly after the press conference, with users sharing messages of unity and resistance. Internationally, Trump's comments have raised eyebrows among diplomats and political analysts. Many view the remarks as a reflection of Trump's unorthodox style and his willingness to challenge established norms. However, there is also concern that such rhetoric could damage the United States' reputation as a reliable and respectful partner on the global stage. #### implications for U.S. Canada relations. While it is unlikely that Trump's comments will lead to any serious attempt to annex Canada, they have nevertheless introduced a degree of uncertainty into the relationship between the two countries. By questioning the validity of the border and suggesting that Canada would be better off as part of the United States, Trump has risked alienating a key ally and trading partner. The broader implications of these remarks remain to be seen. On one hand, they could be dismissed as a rhetorical flourish with no real policy implications. On the other hand, they could signal a shift in U.S. foreign policy under Trump's leadership, with greater emphasis on economic leverage and a willingness to challenge established norms. #### conclusion. Navigating an uncertain future. Donald Trump's comments about annexing Canada and imposing tariffs on Canadian goods have added a new layer of complexity to the already multifaceted relationship between the two countries. While the remarks may have been intended to provoke or entertain, they carry serious implications for trade, security, and diplomacy. As Canada and the United States navigate this period of uncertainty, it will be essential for leaders on both sides to reaffirm their commitment to mutual respect and cooperation. The long-standing partnership between the two nations is built on a foundation of shared values and interests, and preserving this relationship will require careful diplomacy and a willingness to engage in constructive dialogue. For now, Trump's comments serve as a reminder of the unpredictable nature of his leadership style and the challenges that lie ahead for U.S.-Canada relations. Whether these remarks will have a lasting impact or fade into obscurity remains to be seen, but one thing is clear: the relationship between Canada and the United States is entering a new and uncertain chapter.